Hello everyone and welcome to the uh, part of the middle of this Mac. The back of the middle was the back, so the bottom was already created at some point. I had another idea in mind as usual, and I made it and I didn't like the front of it, so I deleted the front and left the back. So now this is my second try at creating a middle part of this sci-fi character or this drone. As usual, I have a sphere that I will deform, mask and extract, then we topologize, creating a nicer looking mesh. So that's what I'm doing now. I want some curves going on all over the model, so I use the clip circle brush a lot. If you look at most of the heavy mechs, you will mecha, you will see that they have some sort of engine shape going on in the middle. I don't know what that thing is called, but basically I'm assuming there's oil in a thing or something, or it's the engine perhaps, I don't know. But that's what I'm creating now. It doesn't look like anything yet, so I'm using the move brush to scale it a little bit in. And you can also curve circles surfaces using the move tool by selecting in the area you want to have the curve in, and then I think pressing Control and then using the middle circle that you see right here on the blue line, you can pretty much curve it the way you want. The longer the line is, the bigger the curve will be, so the whole curve will affect the mesh. The smaller the line is, the smaller the part that the curve will go in will affect the full mesh. And again guys, if I'm saying something wrong, for the hotkeys, I don't usually look when I'm doing it, so I'm not quite sure which one they are, but you can find them at the official ZBrush site. So here I'm adding the upper part of this. For now I will call it a engine, so maybe second engine for the legs. The legs will be attached to this, so I had some ideas here and there, maybe some sort of multiple oil tanks. What is weird word? Oil tanks. But I want a main one in the middle right there, like you see on most of the suits. As you can see here, it doesn't work out for me, so I just dynameshed it and it fixed my polygon problem, so now I can really stretch it out. And that's a plus of Dynamesh, but this is not my my idea. Right here you can see it doesn't look quite good, because I usually go in and create these hard surface objects myself. I just like doing that, so you will see me do that either very fast or slow, I'm not sure. Again, I want to create 2 extra oil tanks here, so I'm trying to figure out where to place them, because it, as you can see here, it doesn't look that good. So I will probably put it on the front and one in the middle, and then a bigger one right after the small one in the middle. So instead of deforming the mesh, I just appended a cylinder or a sphere. I don't know. I think it's a cylinder. I append the cylinder and then trying to figure out where to. So these are just placeholders for the ones I will be creating in a minute or so. And again, I have some reference of a ton of them, so I just look at it and try to figure out which one will fit this mechanical character. So using the clip curve brush to create some sort of effect here and there, because the main shape looks too simple for me, so I'm trying to figure out how I can make it look more interesting. So just duplicating it and then scaling it, moving it into place. This is what I will be doing for the most part, but I just want to see, I want I want to show you how I created the full thing, instead of, you know, creating a piece of it and then say, okay, this is how I will do the rest. The thing that you see right here is an output. So a tube goes in there. Maybe the tube has some wires in it that control, the legs and part of the torso maybe. So I'm creating such a output or input. I will do that in a minute, but right now I'm just concepting, trying to figure out what the main shape of it will be, and then I will just make it separately. If you're wondering what kind of UI I'm using right now, this is not a custom UI. This is actually a standard UI from ZBrush. So if you look at the right, if you look at the place where the close option is and the floating window option next to a some sort of unlock key, you will see two stacks of paper and two stacks of sticks pointing left and right, just like the paper stacks. You can switch between those to change the UI. So ZBrush has some custom UIs made. So some of them are made for the paint. So where if you're looking to paint, you want to have your painting tools on the screen, and there's a UI for that as well. And right now I'm using a UI where I can easily access my most used brushes instead of going in and searching for them in the in the sub menu on the left. So right now I will create some more effects on this main part right here. As I was saying, it looks too empty to me and I like small details, so I'm going to add them. There's also a option to select a subtool. Let's say you have 1000 subtools. You can't search for one simple subtool in a subtool menu because it will take a lot of time, which most people usually don't have. So there is a hotkey for that. If you press Alt and then click on the mesh on the object you want to select by clicking Alt and then I think left mouse click or right, it all depends on which one you use to select, then you will it will switch to that subtool. Dynamesh has a few options. Polish basically makes smoother edges. Group will keep groups, so if you Dynamesh, it won't be one full mesh with which is only one group, but it will actually retain your groups. So that is also a neat option. Then you have project in the Dynamesh menu as well. It pretty much does what it says. It projects the detail of the mesh that you want to dynamesh, and sometimes you will get some bad results, but for the most part those tools work pretty well. So I was going to dynamesh using polish, see here, creating one part, but then I realized if I were to texture this, I don't want the this whole part to be one color. So I want it to maybe be like a combination between metal, so iron for the main engine there, or plastic for the smaller tubing outputs, and maybe some sort of rubber for some of the parts. So I didn't like the idea here, and I decided to turn to create separate subtools for this again. So by going back and then just splitting these ones in the subtool menu. With Dynamesh you can create some dynamic effects, as you can see here, and in a second you will see that these the tools look pretty much like they're two separate subtools, which isn't actually what you want sometimes. So you can pretty much just hit Dynamesh, then go in with a smooth brush, and then smooth out the areas that you want to be able to connect dynamically, and then it will look pretty nice. So instead of looking like a merged mesh, it will look like one whole. You also have a see-through option in the if you look at the upper next to quick save, you will see see-through set to 0. That is a handy tool if you want to use reference. As you can see here, I'm switching between those. Let's say you have a concept ready, you can either import it into ZBrush and then use that as reference. But if you have, let's say, multiple parts, multiple images in the background, instead of turning off or minimizing the ZBrush program, you can just hit C2 and it will pretty much show you everything that is running in the background. In the background. So definitely something you will have to use sometimes, but again, if you're using only one, you can just import it into ZBrush. after going in and retopologizing most of the subtools, the final mesh was around 275. The poly count was 275,000, which is half of what it was when I used series measure, which the poly count was something about 600,000 polygons, which is close to a million, and that is a little bit too much. 200,000 is still too much, but it's, you know, most programs can handle that as a low poly instead of 600, which will cause your program to start slowing down a little bit. So definitely a plus to have that. So now I'm going to get rid of the whole under part there. I don't really need it anymore. It looks too big and terrible. So I'm going to delete that and keep the only that part where the legs will fit. Now if you press Dynamesh on a very or a very thin object which has very thin which is very thin, it will create holes, so keep that in mind as well. So try to add thickness to your meshes if you're using Dynamesh, because you will get nicer results instead of these weird holes in the object. Right now it doesn't really matter, I just got rid of it with the clip curve brush or the clip circle brush, but it's something to keep in mind. So every tool has its limitations, but you need to know how to work past them. So again, I got rid of all the effects that I create, and now I'm going to do that once more, creating some sort of cool look for this this engine or tank or whatever it is. I don't know what to call it. I don't even know what it is, but it looks nice, so I'm going to add it in anyways. And the middle is already starting to shape up a little bit. It still needs some more details to really see what my idea for this is, so I'm going to keep sculpting. So as you know, if you look at the final image, you can find those on my DeviantArt account or the YouTube thumbnail or ZBrush Hangouts or ZBrush Central. CG Hub is down. I don't know what happened, but I checked one time and it was gone. Instead of CG Hub, you get CG Hug with a G, which is some site, I don't know what it is, but I don't know why it's gone, or but it's really sad, to be honest. Some people had their whole portfolio on there, and I'm sorry guys if that happened. It's still messed up. But I don't really mind that it's gone, because I was only there like a few months, but some people might be there years and maybe loved it. I did too, but you know, I was a beginner, so I wasn't on that too much. So if you're watching, if you have a Deviant account, feel free to add me on there if you want to get updates on these videos fast. I was thinking of creating a screw input there, but I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. Now you're probably wondering why I'm pressing shadow box and then going out of it. It's pretty handy and something I like to use to give my my box a little more resolution. So I just hit shadow box and I shadow box again, and it creates, and it gives it 96,000 points, which is good to sculpt on instead of 200, which is too low. So that's why I'm doing it. But I use shadow box more for my weapons. When I make my weapons, then you will see me use shadow box a lot. But for this Mac, it contains of really really organic shapes sometimes. So like the main shape that you see here, I can't create that in shadow box. It won't look good. But for weapons, you know, your standard modern day weapons, you will probably need shadow box a lot. Or if you want to create a alien weapon, you can block out the main shape in shadow box and then come in and clean it up, shape it up, and deform it into something that you want. But shadow box I usually use for my weapons, so keep that in mind. This thing that you see right here that I'm creating is I looked it up and it's called a loincloth, I think. Usually you see this one in games, or if you look at some sci-fi series, you will see that most people draw that have like maybe a rank on there, or a where they come from using a loincloth, and that is basically, I think, the purpose of it. I can't find another purpose for it, but this is just a armor for the engine. I thought it looked cool, so I added it in. I smoothed out the edges of the sphere that I used, because if you don't, you will get some weird results. The mesh will stretch at some points around the edges. It won't look good, and I would recommend to smooth out some of the edges if you want to extract them. So do that and you will get better results instead of weird looking geometry. So I extracted this shape, then I made a small adjustment and then smoothed the edges, of course, extracted it at thickness 2.2, turned on double, and it created two two parts instead of one. So now I'm going to make the hard surface parts of this. I will only use one shape or one mesh to create a at least three different designs for this. So I'm not doing any effort to create some advanced shapes that you see here. I turned on symmetry and then put the radius to 8, I think, but it could be also more. It could be 10, and then I just mask it out, inverse the mask, and then remove the mask at some point, and then you get these nice looking ripples there, these nice looking holes. And then I will just scale it up and put it into the right place, and then continue to do that with the other parts. So I use this technique to make my hard surface objects. So if you're looking to make a, let's say, a wheel in ZBrush, I would highly suggest you do that with this instead of going in drawing every every shape, every detail in the wheel. You can just use symmetry, turn radius to whatever you want. Let's say the standard is 8, which will have symmetry around 8 sides of this shape. Let's say you have a circle, then basically on each, how do you call it? Let's say you have a pie, you have some sections, so every section will be edited instead of symmetry on 2 sides. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But that's basically what I'm doing here. I'm making some more details for this engine. It will really bring it to life, instead of simple spheres or cylinders. So it's already looking really cool. And this one probably took me 1 minute to create or so. So that's how fast it is. Now that I have that, I'm just going to put it into the place that I wanted it to be in. So rotate it to match the engine, and then scale it down, move it into the place where the main engine should be, fit it in there, and it's already looking pretty cool. I'm going to make some adjustments to it and then continue working on a second one and finally a third one, and then I think this will be the end of this video when I do that. So let's do this. And guys, if you have suggestions to what I should create next, please leave a comment in the comment section below and give me your idea to what you want to see me create. Perhaps maybe it could become a tutorial, another tutorial. I'm already planning to make a weapon tutorial. I found a cool weapon on the internet, made by a 2D concept artist that I already asked to make one of his weapons, so I will visit his page again and ask him again. He makes really cool weapons, and I love to model them, but you know, I can't make all of them because they're his designs, so it would be it won't be nice to do that. So expect a weapon tutorial soon. I'm trying different designs on these parts for the main engine, because they don't want I don't want them to look similar, because it just feels like, you know, it's just duplicated and put in place. I don't like that too much. So not I'm not really making a lot of changes, but at least some changes that you will say, okay, hey, this is not this is the same idea, but you know, slightly different. So I like to do that. I like to do that. So creating a maybe a button to open it by rotating it. So that's what I'm doing now, and then filling it with oil. Oil. I don't have enough resolution to mask it out, so the one thing I could do is dynamesh it again and then defy it, but I don't think I want too much details on this. You probably won't even look at it too much, but it's always nice to have these smaller details as a modeler. So for whoever is just starting out with ZBrush, who whoever of you want to do hard surface characters like me, um, just keep that in mind. And the best thing about this technique is that you don't even need a powerful powerful computer to run the program, because you know, sometimes not sometimes, you probably will go overboard with the details, which will lead to a model which is, let's say, give or take 80 million polygons, which is too much, and your computer will probably crash a lot or slow down for the hardcore computers out there. But if you want to, you know, create some cool results in ZBrush and don't have a supercomputer, you know, this would be the technique to use. So go in, concept your your model, then retopologize, crease the edges that you want to crease, dynamesh, and just that's pretty much it. There is a option, if you look at the under the wireframe mode, you will see transparent. That's a tool that makes every other subtool that isn't selected invisible, so that you can feed the selected tool. And under that is ghost. If you turn ghost off, you will see the same, you will see the model, but only slightly transparent, so not quite ghost like. And if you look under ghost, you will see three buttons, a white one in between two gray ones, saying dynamic on it. That's a tool that hides your subtools, so the subtools that aren't selected will be hidden, and that gives your machine, you know, a little bit of more extra power to be able to keep your millions and millions of polygons. If you turn on dynamic on there, you will see that it pretty much each time you click, it will hide the tools that aren't selected, so only the tool that is selected will be visible. So it's a handy tool to, you know, if you're also looking to get a little more out of your machine. So this is I think the main engine that I've created just now, instead of the small one that you see above it. So I'm going to move the smaller one to the place that the bigger one is now, because it's only fair that the bigger one is on top. So I'm going to do that right now. Move the little one a little bit lower and then the bigger one each a little bit higher, and it will look much better instead of the one that I had before. So by masking the edge of the little one, I'm going to use the move tool to move it, and then just delete by symmetry and then mirror and weld, and you will get a new tool. So this looks nice. And here you can see it's already starting to shape up. It's already shaping up just like how I want it. I just need to make one. I just want to make some small adjustments to it, and then right now I'm going to make some more tubing outputs or inputs. So everywhere you know the wires will go on the character, I will make a output and a input. So but you will see that in the final results. So this now on this tool I will use Dynamesh a lot, because I will, as you can see, they are stretch polygons. Now I Dynamesh and they're pretty much gone. I want to make some sort of output on there, so I'm just going to mask the place that I want it to be and then hit inverse mask by clicking outside of the object. It will inverse the mask, and just move it and then Dynamesh it, smooth it, turn off polish, which will give much better results, smooth it, and then there you go. I also want another part of it, which is the output of it. So I'm going to extrude that out and then create some sort of cool looking output. So extruding it out and then intruding the middle one in. Intruding the middle one in, and then I'm going to you will see the results. With Dynamesh. Pretty nice results. Mask it, inverse the mask, and then smooth it out a little bit. Cut off the front edge because it looks a little bit too smooth. So cut that off, really nice, and then just append it. And this is basically my workflow for at least this model. The model is quite small actually, but I don't mind. I can just scale them in or out. It's not a problem. I'm going to into the middle of this as well because I just got that idea from the first one, as this is a cable output. So into that and then just append it again. And right now I'm not worrying too much about the inner part of it. You won't see it anyways. And I will retopologize it so it doesn't really matter anymore. So just moving it out and then moving the middle part in. And you get a really fast result, really nice. Cutting off the edge to make it look more just to make it look more nice, and then append it again to get rid of the old one. This is looking pretty nice already, so I'm going to keep making these outputs. So here I have symmetry turned on, which will affect my mesh a lot, which you will see in a minute. And this was what I was talking about. It doesn't look. I will mask it, and then I will turn it, and you will see what the difference is, and why I don't work in symmetry. I don't have perspective on when I model my hard surface characters. So you'll see that in a minute. If I turn this, you can see it does not look quite good, not what I want. And if I get rid of perspective mode and then draw this, it looks much nicer. You don't have any uneven shapes, and that's what I want. So that's why I don't work with perspective mode turned on my hard surface characters. So there are tons of effects you can create with symmetry instead of two and more points, as you can see here. If you turn on symmetry on several parts or several sections, you can really get some really nice results, and it looks quite good. So that's why I do it. And it's much faster than going in and then drawing all of them all at the same time, which is it takes too much time. So this is pretty much what I want. Then I'm going to duplicate that and then mirror it in the z-axis, move it down, and append just mask out the main shape that I already had. I'm scaling it in right now, mask it out, and then create some sort of small effect. And remember to turn turn off the radius once you're done. And this is basically where the tubing will go in. And I believe I created this in at least 2 minutes or so. Pretty easy, fast, and you don't no headache at all. So we're coming to the end of this part of this ZBrush walkthrough, and this was pretty much the middle. I'm just going to append this on the existing part of the character, and then I'm going to place some of these, because I really like how this looks. I'm going to place it on several parts of this middle part of the model. So the holes you see on the back side of this, I will append four of them, and then 2 on the side of the main engine. So that's what I'm going to do now. So just duplicating some of these tools, moving them around. It's pretty easy and not too much work. With no effort, I just created a cool looking part, and that's how fast it is. Guys, this was pretty much the middle part of this ZBrush walkthrough. I will see you guys in the next part, I guess. Bye.